Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, all devotees. So we are reading from chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, and we can see how Krishna has described the characteristics of a person who is bewildered by the three modes of material nature. Okay, so until now, that's what was done. One sec. Okay, so Krishna has been describing the characteristics of a person who is bewildered by the three modes of material nature. All right, and what are the characteristics and behavior of a person who is knowledgeable, contrary to that. So now Krishna is going to describe how a person in knowledge should deal with a person in ignorance. Okay, so that's very interesting. All right, so let us read shloka number 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढा प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढा सजन्ते गुणकर्मसु सजन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान कृष्णविदो मन्दान् तान कृष्णविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. The wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Okay, so Prabhus and Mataji, so what is a wise man supposed to do? A wise man should not disturb or unsettle those people who are slow and lazy when it comes to self realization. The word mandha means slow, lazy. Okay, so a wise man should not disturb or unsettle them. So the essence is of this shloka is that the ones who are knowledgeable should not go to the persons who are ignorant and tell them, hey, give up this false work and renounce. Okay, since they are not qualified to renounce that work, they should not be told that. But what should the wise man do? The wise man should engage these people in some activities by which they will gain knowledge of self realization. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. All the time, all that they will be able to think of is what is their current designation. They can't think more. Okay, one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called manda, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. So Srila Prabhupada is pretty strong here. Okay, so he also says that ignorant people think of the body as the self. So all bodily connections with others, and the land in which they are born in, they feel that that land which we are born in should be worshipped. Okay, a bodily connection with others is, they look at it as very close kinsmanship, and they consider the formalities of religious rituals to be ends in themselves. Okay, so these are the misconceptions that these ignorant people have. They think that once this body is vanquished, everything is vanquished. So while I have this body, let me enjoy as much as possible. Okay, since they don't have knowledge of the soul, they don't believe that in the next birth there will be a next birth, and they believe that they should try to do everything possible, all sorts of enjoyment in this birth itself. They think that the body is a means of sense gratification. Okay, so they cannot see beyond their own bodies and beyond the bodies of others. Okay, they feel that any work that is done also, they feel that I am the doer, I am sustaining everyone in my family. Okay, and because of this they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth. They are completely uninterested in spiritual engagements. So materialistic people, because they are completely engaged, they are so busy, they have no time. Okay, I have no time. Not only do they have no interest, they have no time as well. All right, I am busy, I don't have time, I'm engaged from morning to evening, I have all sorts of material duties. Okay, that's how they go out every day. But those who are enlightened in spiritual life, okay, should not, however, try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. So all of you here, you all have been studying the Bhagavad Gita so nicely. Now you're reviewing it for the second time, in fact. Okay, so how should we approach these materially inclined people? So Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, we should not go and unsettle or disturb them and tell them, hey, renounce everything and come. No. Okay, better that we do our own spiritual activities silently. That is what Lord Krishna is advising in the shloka. Okay, so Krishna is saying that if they are too busy, don't tell them about me. Let them not think about me. It's okay. Okay, so Krishna is frustrated. So he's saying if they are too busy, leave them alone. But in his heart, Krishna actually wants that everyone comes back to him. Everyone desires to come back to him, correct? So as devotees, okay, Srila Prabhupada says that devotees are more kind than the Lord himself. And devotees understand the heart of Krishna. And what do? So the devotees, they understand the purpose of the Lord and they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try and engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. So devotees will actually go and tell these so-called ignorant people about Krishna consciousness. They engage them in the service of the Lord very, very innovatively. Okay, and interested people immediately become Vedavid or knowledgeable. Okay, so we have seen or heard, in the early days when Srila Prabhupada was in the US and he was trying to preach and he would empower his disciples, and many of his disciples, they actually went out and they preached in bars, pubs. Okay, they would go and preach to them. So they took the risk so that they can remove people who are drowning in the material world, remove them from the material pool and engage them in the service of the Lord. Okay, we ourselves, we were all drowning in the material world, engrossed in our sense gratification, but by the mercy of devotees we have been picked up and placed in a place where we now know that, okay, we have to break the cycle of birth and death. All right. So, in this way, Srila Prabhupada said the devotees are more merciful than Lord Krishna. Okay. So, what can we do? Like Srila Prabhupada said, we should be very innovative when we preach to others. We should not disturb them, push anyone to take up to this process, right? We should just tell them, for example, right? Now, let me give you an example. If a person is haunted by a ghost, and you go to that person and you say, you are not the ghost, you are not the ghost, come, get up, do your work. Will he understand? He won't understand. He's currently haunted by a ghost. Some mantra has to be given, some proper prescribed treatment has to be given, right? So similarly, as devotees, we have to go and give them the mantra of this age. People who are materially inclined, we give them the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and we inspire them to chant. It's okay, we tell them, you can continue whatever you're doing, but just, in the side, chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then slowly request their help to do some service for the Lord. In this way, they will be delivered by slowly engaging in devotional service and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's more important to tell people what they should do, not to tell them, don't do this, don't do that. No. It's more important to tell them what they can do very favorably. All right. So this is what we should do when we want to help the people in general. So now let us look at the next shloka, where Krishna is going to speak about bhakti or devotional service. Sloka number 30. Mai sarvani karmani, Mai sarvani karmani, Sanyasyadhyatma chetasa, Sanyasyadhyatma chetasa, Nirashir nirmamo bhutva, Nirashir nirmamo bhutva, Yudhyasva vigatachvaraha, Yudhyasva vigatachvaraha. Translation. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. This is what Krishna is instructing Arjuna. So let me draw your attention to three things or three instructions that Lord Krishna gives in the purport. So this is very interesting. Okay. So first, Krishna says, surrender all your works unto me. The first thing is with full knowledge of me. Be in full knowledge of me. Okay. Full knowledge of me, meaning not in knowledge of anything else. The second thing is, do not have desires for profit or do not claim proprietorship. Okay. And the third thing is, be free from lethargy and fight. So again, the first thing is, have full knowledge of me. The second thing is, do not have any desires for profit or proprietorship. And the third thing is, be free from lethargy and fight. This is very, very important for us to remember every day. In fact, we can write it down. Okay, we can write it down and keep it maybe on our bedroom door, stick it so that we can refer to these things every day and practice, see how we can practice these things every day. What do these three things relate to? These three things relate to none other than the three modes of material nature. Just as how Krishna always tells Arjuna, we've seen in the second chapter, sloka number 45. Okay, in the 14th chapter, sloka number 26. In many shlokas, Krishna actually tells Arjuna that he should transcend the three modes of material nature. Okay, so if you see here how Krishna says, no proprietorship. Okay, no proprietorship. Okay, first he says, have full knowledge of me, meaning cross beyond the knowledge of the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness is characterized by knowledge. cross beyond the mode of goodness, and have full knowledge of me. And then the mode of passion is characterized by desire for profit, being passionate for the desire of profit or proprietorship, right? So Krishna says, transcend. Don't have that. Transcend that mode of passion and come. And thirdly, what is the mode of ignorance characterized by? Lethargy, laziness, right? So Krishna also says, transcend ignorance, O Arjuna. Transcend ignorance and simply surrender unto me and fight. So Srila Prabhupada says here that one who fully depends on Krishna is called an Adhyatma Chetasaha. Okay? And he is also called Nirasihi, meaning one acts according to what Krishna wants. Nirasi, without expecting fruitive results. We only act according to what Krishna wants. This is called bhakti, dear Prabhus and Matajis. Okay, a servant, what does a servant mean? If we all want to claim ourselves as servant of Krishna, we all want to try to be servants of Krishna, right? So a servant is always busy serving the master without any expectation. All the servant wants is for the master to be pleased. And when the master is pleased, then he will give something. The servant does not go forward and expect or ask for a reward. Okay, so we see here how Krishna says, do not have any desire for profit or proprietorship. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada gives a very, very nice example in the purport. He says that, those cashiers working in More or any big store, right? Any big supermarket or any place, at the end of the day, the cash that is paid is counted. There'll be many bills, 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees. So they count all the bills. She is free to do anything about it or even think that it belongs to her, right? But does he or she think that? No. He or she knows that this does not belong to me, this belongs to the rightful owner. I'm only counting it, I'm only the guardian of it. That is exactly how we should think. Whatever we have, whatever money we have, whatever belongings, property we have, ultimately belongs to the Supreme Lord. Okay? He is the sole proprietor. Sole proprietor. We are simply guardians. So a Krishna conscious person knows that he is simply a caretaker. We are simply caretakers of the Lord's property. So what does a caretaker do? What does a devotee do? He starts rendering service using everything that he has, everything that Krishna has given him. He uses it in the service of Krishna because Krishna is the proprietor of all that. All right. One other very wonderful example that a devotee gives is if there's someone traveling on a train, we are sitting on a seat. Sometimes we travel for up to 1 day, 2 days, right? We sit on the train and we go. Okay, we sit on the seat, we lie down on the seat, we have our meals on the seat, right? So in that way, we are fully enjoying that seat, our particular seat in the train. But when your stop comes, what do? You get down and you go, right? Do you say that, let me remove this seat, let me take out the screws and the nuts and bolts and take the seat with me? No, it's mine, I booked it, so this seat belongs to me. No, nothing like that, right? That seat is temporary. When your stop comes, you get down and you go. All right, it was only given to us for some time to use while we were in the journey. All right. So all these things Krishna has given us just to use for some time while we are in this material world. We should ensure that we properly use it in his service. Okay, because it ultimately belongs to him, and doing that will ultimately help us reach the rightful destination, which is to go back to Godhead, to the Supreme Lord. Okay, so anyone who is Krishna conscious, dear Prabhus and Matajis, I'm repeating it again and again for my own sake actually. I should understand that I am not the proprietor and I should use everything in the service of Krishna. So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight for my pleasure. Come above the three modes of material nature and do your duty, O Arjuna. Okay, Arjuna was also not ready to fight, but he fought for the pleasure of Krishna. So, similarly, our final lesson for today, dear Prabhus and Matajis, we have to sacrifice things for the pleasure of the Lord. Okay, so that we get closer to Him. This will only help us to get closer to Him. When we sacrifice something for someone, we become more dear to that person, right? Krishna truly appreciates it. Okay, and it's not that the Lord benefits actually from this sacrifice that they are making. Okay, in the material world, when we make a sacrifice for someone else, that other person benefits, right? But in spiritual activities, when we make a sacrifice, who benefits? Does the Lord benefit when we sacrifice something? He already has everything, He doesn't need anything for us. But we benefit. We benefit from our sacrifice because we are the ones who are going to break the cycle of birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. So, in this way, the Lord is very, very merciful. He wants all of us to come to Him. So, let us not think of ourselves as the proprietor. Let us make more sacrifices that will bring us closer to the Lord. Okay, and let us also be very innovative when we approach others about this Krishna consciousness. Okay, so thank you all very, very much. And I hope I'm very fortunate to have all of your association today on this auspicious day. And I hope to see you all again also very, very soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam, Hare Krishna to all assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna Vrinda.